If you watched my last video, then you would know that I have made thousands of dollars by flipping furniture that I thrifted at my local thrift stores. I got this dresser just the other day for $25, and in just a couple hours, I'm going to be selling it onto Facebook Marketplace for $350. Now, I am on my road to hitting my first 10,000 subscribers, so if you aren't yet subscribed, go ahead and do that below. Otherwise, you can support me by liking this video and leaving a comment down below. Now let's talk a little bit about this dresser. It is a 6-drawer dresser and it is solid wood. It does have a few interesting parts to it. The first being is the top. I'm not exactly sure what it is, but it does have some texture and it is in pretty good condition, so I'm just going to leave it as is. One of the other interesting components about this dresser is its hardware. You may have noticed that it is definitely unique. I'm also going to be keeping the hardware original, and you'll soon see why. But even with keeping the hardware original, I do have a trick to spruce it up a little bit. This dresser is from Young Hinkle, and the stamp alone brings up the value in this dresser because it shows that it's a high quality piece, which is always a good thing. So the first step that I'm taking is to remove the hardware and the drawers. This is like the first step for just about every makeover. Now here's a close-up look of the hardware. It is kind of bulky and definitely not my first choice, but we're going to roll with it regardless. In order to replace the hardware, I would have to fill in some pretty deep indents. Now it is possible, but it would add hours to this dresser's makeover, and at that point, it just wouldn't be worth it, I guess, in my opinion. However, if you do have a dresser like this where you're coming across the same problem, what I would have done is just fill in the two sides where the hardware holes are and then actually leave that circle indent. From there, I would just drill in a singular hole in the middle of the circle and replace it with some sort of knob hardware. That's definitely something that ran through my head when planning the design for this makeover, but because I didn't want to take the time to fill in those holes, I went to plan B, which is keeping the hardware original, but adding a little bit of spice. Now that the drawers are out, here's a little bit more of a close-up look of what I was talking about with the hardware and the indents. You can also see that these drawers have quite a bit of scratches and chunks taken out of it. I'm sure some of that is from the years it's been used, but actually the majority of it is from the factory made finish. This piece is definitely more of a rustic farmhouse piece. I'm also taking some time to just wipe this piece down. Who knows when the last time it was wiped down, and clearly someone had it in their home for a very long time just because of how much dust buildup there was. Now, I know a lot of people skip this step, especially if they're just going straight into sanding the piece down, but I really think that cleaning it down before you get started in the project is really good to do. Plus, then you're practically starting with a clean slate, or at least I guess that's just how I see it. And you never know what you're going to find when you're making over previously owned pieces of furniture. More times than not, I do find some little treasures in whatever piece I'm working on. With this dresser, I found some placemats and something for a baby. I'm not sure what it is, so make sure to leave a comment below to let me know. I'm not very familiar with any baby products, but I'm actually going to have a garage sale this spring, so I might hold on to these items and try to sell them for a couple bucks. And when I say this piece was dusty, I mean it. Sometimes these are some of my favorite pieces to clean because the difference is just so obvious. Obviously, it's important to clean the outside, but it's also a really nice touch if you're cleaning the inside as well. That way, when you go to sell, you can say this piece is clean inside and out. Like I said, I am going to be leaving this top original, so to make sure that I don't get anything on it, I'm actually going to tape it off. I'm just using some blue painter's tape. I will be doing stuff to the wood elements on the top though, which is why you don't see me taping around that. I know it's just an extra step and another thing that has to be done, but this way I won't have to be as careful when I'm going to paint. And honestly, that just means that it's going to go faster in the long run. Now, this is one of my secret weapons to making these makeovers fly by. If you're familiar, this is Farmhouse Paint. I have worked with them before. Today's video, however, is not sponsored by them, but either way, I love their product and it's perfect for this piece. I'm going to be using one of my favorite colors from them, which is called Sage Shadow. Just like in its name, it's this beautiful sage green color. If you're not familiar with this paint, you may be thinking, hold up, what? You're skipping a few steps here. But that's why this paint is so amazing. Some of my favorite aspects of this paint is that it's an all-in-one formula, which means you don't have to do any priming or top coating. It also has amazing adhesion properties, which is why you did not see me doing any scuff sanding in this project. So in a nutshell, after removing the hardware and wiping this piece down, 2 or 3 coats of this paint and I'm done. Now, I'm not an expert at identifying all the types of woods there are out there, but when it comes to pine, I know it when I see it. And one thing about pine wood is that it typically has a lot of knots in the wood. Those knots are those little black circles that you see. The thing about those knots is that they usually bleed through primer and paint. And I was a little bit nervous to paint this dresser without any sort of stain blocking primer, so I was kind of taking a risk here. However, to my surprise, this paint has completely blocked those knots out without any primer. In my book, that really says something about this paint and its quality. Also, I'm here to flip furniture for a profit, so how I see it, time is money. A constant thought running through my head is how fast can I get this project done so that I can get cash in my pocket. Now, this does not mean that I will skip corners to do that, but if there is a way that I can properly make something go faster, 9 times out of 10, I'm gonna do it. Farmhouse paint is eliminating 3 steps for me. You see, I didn't have to do a scuff sand and I didn't have to prime. You're also going to see me not putting on any sort of top coat. Each one of those tasks would have taken me between 20 to 45 minutes. And then you also have to think about dry time. So really, you just need to think about how much time I just saved and how much time you could save too if you're wanting to flip for a profit. While the first coat was drying, I had some time to put my focus into the hardware. Before anything, I made sure to clean them and scrub them down so they were ready. I'm going to go ahead and spray paint them in this gold from Rust-Oleum. This spray paint really makes anything pop, and that's exactly what I'm going for here. But before starting, make sure that the hardware is 100% dry, otherwise watermarks will show in the spray paint. Yes, unfortunately, I have learned the hard way. Now, I do like to lay them all down on a piece of cardboard like you see, so I don't get the spray paint everywhere. I'm not great at spray painting, I'll be honest with that. So instead of doing one big coat, I like to do multiple little ones. The spray paint does dry pretty quickly, so it doesn't take that much time at all. And after a few coats, we've got some perfectly shiny hardware that's gonna pop. The first coat dried in just a couple hours. You can see that it's not quite full coverage yet, and so the second coat is definitely needed, but that's really all that it took. Now, it has been a while since I painted in sage green, so I don't know if it's really on trend anymore, but I definitely love it, and there's still people out there who do. I was able to get this project done in just one day thanks to this all-in-one paint. I only spent $25 on the piece and all of the materials I actually already had. I am selling this back on a Facebook marketplace for $350, which means I should come in at around just over $300 profit in one day. Now, one last time, if you guys could please like this video and subscribe down below if you aren't already. That'll help my small channel out big time. All that is left to do is remove the blue tape and put on the hardware. I'll show you guys the blue tape removal because it is just so satisfying, but I am going to leave the hardware for the final reveal so that there's some sort of element of surprise. This top was definitely weird and I did debate on if I should paint it or not, but at the end of the day, I left it, as you can see. Make sure to comment down below what you would have done, but otherwise, let's go ahead and get into the final reveal.
So true. You drive me crazy like no